The FujiCast is an independent Loading Zone production.
As we record this, Kev, I feel like I am in a movie, and like any movie I would be involved in, Kev, there's always one small bit missing. I'm doing 3 weddings and a funeral. It's been an interesting week, Kev. It really has. And the wedding, I won't talk about the funeral because obviously that's a different sort of thing altogether, but the wedding that I did the weekend just gone is a woodland wedding. I love woodland weddings. I do like weddings to be a little bit different. Vive la différence. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But it had a kind of it was on summer solstice, so it's the Saturday just gone. So when this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks past. So there was a sort of, am I right in thinking it was a pagan-ish kind of ritual? Horns were worn on the head, crowns of thorns. Yeah. And then they did an open mic session, Kev, where there was a poem about Mother Earth and how Mother Earth gave, or rather the universe was mother and it gave birth to, so that's right, gave birth to the earth. I think as far as wedding readings go, Kev, that was the weirdest I've ever heard. I will not forget it for a long time. What's the weirdest thing you've seen at a wedding, Kev?
Oh, cripes.
Come on, here we go. Put you on the spot.
I have to open up that box in my brain now. That memory box.
I know somebody bolted it shut and put nails around it of late.
Yeah, the weirdest thing.
The weirdest thing you've ever seen. I don't want the death story again.
No. I don't know. I think I've probably had some fairly boring stuff. I don't know. I think I remember once at one wedding where it was actually happening just as I was leaving, thank God. But there was a whole group of people that started playing strip poker.
Oh, right.
And one of them wasn't clearly very good at poker, but was completely naked by the time as I was walking past on the way out.
Right.
And the whole wedding day had been a little bit peculiar.
Yeah.
You know, there seemed to be a lot of kind of people being quite friendly with not necessarily the person that turned up with.
Right, okay. Are you sure you were at a wedding, Kev, and not one of those funny keys in the bowl?
The FujiCast.
It doesn't sound like you were at a wedding, Kev, to me.
I should have stayed, really.
No, Gemma listened.
I should have rang Gemma up and said, "Come on down."
No, God, what would Gemma have said if she arrived to that shenanigans going on?
I should have thrown a top off.
Oh, Kevin! Heaven's sakes. Gemma, I do apologise for him. On whose behalf, God knows. But there we go. Well, welcome to the FujiCast. Summer solstice, though, Kev. It's gone now. The dark nights are closing in. Here we go again. Must be time to disappear to Spain probably soon, won't it?
Yeah. Actually, I've got another... We're talking about summer solstice. I remember shooting a wedding the day before the summer solstice.
Was that you on at Stonehenge?
At Stonehenge, yeah, inside the stones. It was only a small wedding, but the sun didn't come up. It was cloudy and it rained. That was interesting. That had druids and...
Did it?
Yeah.
Did you ever dress up as a druid? Kev is a
fell
druid.
Over, in fact.
Did you fell over?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't think they let you go to the stones.
No, they don't. You can. You're very special permission you can get. I think if you pay them enough money for weddings, they allow you to do it. But yeah, right in the middle, right in the middle of the stones.
That is a great privilege. Anyway, welcome to the FujiCast. You and your questions sent in to click@fujicast.co.uk or indeed through the Facebook page that we have. Mention for our sponsors, Pick Time. Thank you, Pick Time, for sponsoring us. They're with us for another couple of months, Kev. Hey,
yeah, they obviously like the listeners as much as the listeners like them.
Yeah. If you want to be a part of Pick Time, it's essentially the galleries what me and Kev use to show the work that we've photographed. Me with my summer solstice weddings, etc., and Kev with his strip poker he photographs.
And of course, it's more than just a gallery system. You know, you can use it for blogging. You can create your photo films on there. You can make your social media reels very automated from your pictures. All of that good stuff. Yeah,
you can make social media reels from it.
You can make photo films that are social media size, and then it will export. You can export and upload them to your Instagram or TikTok and all of those.
So it does all the clever stuff, the optimization stuff in the background.
Yeah, there's all of that.
And well, the good news is, if you would like to be a part of that pick time action, go to pick-time.com, and at checkout you put Fujicast, upper, lowercase, a mixture of all the lowers and uppers, whatever you want to do. It all works the same, and you get 1 month free of charge. And you can also use pick time as your ultimate. I know this is not necessarily designed for this, but it's also an ultimate backup tool. I feel a lot safer that all the weddings I've done over the last, since I've been using it, so it's 5-6 years now, all those weddings are on there. They're all on there, Kev. All of them. All of them.
Yeah, I got all of mine on there from every single, apart from the first year. Because I use they do a service where you can tell them what system you currently use, and I can't remember, I think it's like $1 a gallery or something.
Yeah.
Just send them your existing gallery system and say, I want all previous 300 weddings taken from whatever, popped into my pick time system, and they do it all for you.
Bob's your uncle. Well, I don't know if he is, but have you got an Uncle Bob? I had an Uncle Bob and an Auntie Sally.
Many of them.
No. Right, let's move on with your questions. If you're listening to last week it would have been. Sometimes I can't get my weeks worked out here, Kev. Last week, the Patreon pop-up was all about full frame. A friend of mine, Mally of the Trees, as I call him, Mally Davis, who is a superb woodland and tree photographer and also does street work as well. He raised a question about, why don't Fujifilm go for full frame? And I know it's an old chestnut, but those old chestnut questions work. And that was last week's Patreon pop-up. So if you're not part of Patreon, that's the pop-up that you're missing. Yeah,
and actually that's a good segue, because I have to say thank you to our most recent patrons, which are Rose Mint. Sure, that's not
Rose Mint.
His real name.
That wasn't at one of your strange weddings, was it, Kev?
Daniel Koskinen, Eric Joseph, David Pottinger, Ollie Johns, and Meg. So thank you very much to all of those people. If you wish to join them, you can go to Fujicast website and just follow the link to Patreon, or search on Patreon for Fujicast, and you will get in return much love from Neil and I, and you will get a bonus show on the off weeks that the main show doesn't play. Usually about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. Yeah. Extra show. Thank you very much.
David Pottinger's one of my favourite people, because he supports me on the Photo Walk show as well.
I'm sure there's probably quite a lot of crossover, actually.
There is. We love Dave. There's loads of people I think that are on crossover. If you are, we love you too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of love going on, Kev. You sure we've not gone back to one of your weddings with the bowl and the keys? Who's going to start then? Are you doing question first, or is it more?
I'll go first.
Go on then.
Gareth Cooper, this is from a few weeks back, says, Hi Kev, hi Neil. Do I review use any tools such as the loop deck to speed up your photo editing, or do you just use the mouse and keyboard with maybe some shortcuts?
I've tried these sort of systems, Kev.
I got a drawer full of this stuff.
I know. In your cupboard of doom, unless you've thrown this stuff away, you must have at least half a dozen units and things with buttons and dials, and that we all thought, that would be nice, that we probably just liked them because they looked like you were the captain on an Airbus. and never used them once and never used them again.
It all started for me a long time ago with those Wacom tablets. Remember them? Wacom.
Well, that was a tablet, though. That wasn't the one with all the buttons on, though, was it?
No, quite. But that's when I first started investigating whether using a pen or something other than a mouse would work for me. It didn't. I went through about 3 Wacom tablets just because I like the look of them and I thought they looked cool on my desk. And then, I have had the loop desk, whatever they're called.
Loop. Is it loop desk?
Loop things. The last one I had, I bought at the photography show.
Oh, right.
And then I gave it to Paul Waring because I didn't even unwrap it. When I gave it to him,
it was still in his box.
Gift, and I was like, you can have this. And it was not even unwrapped.
It still had the plastic wrapping on it. Oh, God.
Yeah, and I've still in my drawer, I've got a couple of things.
P-Fixer, that was one. Do you remember P-Fixer? Was it P-Fixer?
Yeah, P-Fixer was like a software, wasn't it? That kind of.
Did that not come with its own MIDI control as well?
I think you could, because
sure.
MIDI is an interface, so you can use any MIDI control.
Yeah. But there was a MIDI that was designed for it, I think.
Yeah,
wasn't
maybe.
there?
I don't know. I never used that one. Anyway, to answer the question from Gareth, I have a mouse in front of me and I have a keyboard, and they're both very small, and that's what I use all of the time. And I've got 2 enormous monitors, so I'm forever going left and right, left and right. I do have I've got a nice Logitech keyboard though that has a little dial, little kind of volume dial, if you like, on the top, which I use for my music. You can tap it and it can play the next song, or you can use it to up and down the volume. But additionally, I do have that programmed in Premiere Pro as my scrubbing knob.
Right.
So that's it. That's as far as it goes.
What's the MIDI? I'm trying to look up the MIDI thing that I gave to our Jack, because I said, I don't use that. And he said, you don't use that, Dad? Get with it. Oh, what was it? It wasn't the loop deck. No. Oh, anyway, doesn't matter. He's got it. It's in his.
So you just use a mouse and keyboard?
Yeah. And I've tried, Kev. I've used all sorts of stuff. I haven't had the amount of Wacom's that you've had, but I've tried them, and every time just comes back to it. I just feel comfortable with a mouse.
The amount of money that photographers in general, me specifically, but photographers in general, spend on shit that they don't use.
I've often thought, Kev, if I could go back and just rewind and all that stuff that I was going to buy, put that money instead in if there is these days a high interest yielding account,
premium bonds.
Well, premium bonds, because that could have yielded £1 million prize pot, couldn't it?
I look on there. We've got some premium bonds for the kids, and I look on there sometimes, and you look at it tells you the winnings, who's won what. It doesn't tell you who, but it tells you what you can see is the prize, how much their initial investment was, and how long ago they invested. And I was looking last month, and one person won £1 million off a £15. So they bought 3 premium bonds, £15. And they bought them in December last year and won £1 million.
I feel like I want to say something. I used to have a lot of premium bonds, but they were taken away. They were, Kev, with the wind when that thing called COVID came along.
Yeah.
And I think I used to win the occasional 25 quid. So it really is a game of chance, isn't it? But there we go.
Yeah.
So, no, we don't use MIDIs or anything. And if you want one, contact Kev, write to him, write about the one that you would actually like, and he'll send it to you, because he's got
people do use them and use them very well. Just doesn't work for us. So they're not. I'm not saying they're bad products at all in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, Paul uses them. And remember Jeff Ascoff when we went to his workshops?
Did he use one?
He used his Wacom tablets, and he used it for everything, for like his email, the lot. He just used his little pen.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just couldn't. There's no way I could do that. But he's a cleverer person than I am.
Right, Craig Stevenson from Franconia. I think that's how you say it.
Where?
Franconia. Or Franconia? No, Franconia. It'd be Franconia. In the US of A. Hi, Kev. Hi, Neil. I found your podcast about 1.5 years ago and have become a regular listener, as well as ploughing through the Fujicast archives when I can. Love it, love it, love it. I can always count on a good belly laugh or 2 or 3 whilst learning the finer points of the Fujifilm system. This is nice, Kev. It's just lots of nice things. Is there a question? Oh, yes, there is. My question for the 2 of you is a 2-parter, Kev. My wife and I will be travelling to London in September and wonder whether we can come to one of Kev's weird weddings. He didn't write that. My wife and I will be...
if you want to come to my house, it's...
Oh, Kevin! My wife and I will be travelling to London in September. A birthday present. That's not a bad birthday present, is it? Hey?
Very nice, yeah.
Can you suggest 2 to 3 must-see photography galleries / exhibitions to visit while we're there? House of Photography, National Portrait Gallery, that sort of thing. You sound like you've already done your research. You don't need us. National Portrait Gallery, I love. I have to say, I went recently with, the second mention for him, with Mally recently, who was just completely underwhelmed. He said, where's all the photography? I said, well, it's about paintings and photos. Paintings were around a lot longer before photography. I liked it, but there didn't seem to be as much as the old stuff, the famous people photographically was a bit. Yeah, there wasn't so much of that this time at the National Portrait Gallery, but it's an ever-evolving thing and it changes, doesn't it? I think they've got something like, is it 250,000 or 500,000 things that they can show? So imagine stuff coming in and out of storage. That's a job and a half, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the curators and the managers of that stuff.
So National
they're very highly paid and highly skilled people as well.
Yeah. I'm just what I'm going to do while you're giving a few ideas is I'm going to say, I'm just going to put into ChatGPT and I'm going to, what will the National Portrait Gallery be showing in September? So where would you go, Kev?
Well, you've got the Photographers Gallery, as you've mentioned already. The Fujifilm House of Photography usually has something going on in Covent Garden. There's also the Observatory Photography Gallery.
Oh, forget that one. Yes.
Yeah, there's that one. That's really the only one. A lot of these are pop-up galleries, aren't they? Pop-up exhibitions and stuff. So, but the physical ones that are going are those, like the Observatory Photographer's Gallery. They're always going to be open. And there'll be stuff going on, but yeah, check. There's usually something going on in what's that thing at the end of what's his name?
No idea what you're talking about.
That big thing at the end of the bridge, the Jubilee.
The Tate, modern.
Yes, there's usually some stuff going on in there, photography-wise, usually on the top floors.
Oh, worth going to Tate Britain as well, because that has some stuff on. So Tate Britain, Tate Modern, they're a little distance, not a huge distance, but a little distance apart.
Tate Britain is a pain in the butt to get to.
It's not the easiest place to get to, but once you're there, you're okay. I'm just looking at what's on in September at the Photographers Gallery, which I love. That's in Ramillies Street in Soho. Dennis Morris, Music and Life. So Bob Marley, Sex Pistols, Oasis, Radiohead. Photographed them all. Expect rare, never seen before shots alongside documentary work exploring race and identity in 1970s Britain. That does sound good. And there's one here, Felicity Hammond, 4-part project delving into the intersection of geological mining, data mining, AI and image making. That's a floor that's going to be a bit more challenging. So yeah, Photographer's Gallery I love. And they got a good coffee shop at the bottom as well.
Yes, in the middle.
Yeah. Anything else? Anything else to go and see?
Yeah. What? I always like to have a gander down Charing Cross Road, down the old bookshops for all the photography books. There's some really cool old vintage bookshops that, if you get time to gander through there, you'll find some nice stuff if you're into books. And also, if you're traveling around the UK and you're into books, then head over to Hay on Wye, because there's a billion bookshops there, and you'll find some good photography stuff there as well.
Also, Michael Hoppen Gallery in Chelsea and the Saatchi Gallery usually has some interesting stuff on as well. Obviously, have a deeper wallet that day because you're in the Sloane Square area.
Yeah.
I had an excellent.
You don't need to worry too much about having your phone robbed off your hands.
They'll look at it and say, "Don't want that. Have you got anything newer?" Right. It was a two-parter, wasn't it? The second question, probably more in Kevin's wheelhouse. Oh, stand by, Kev. But I could be wrong, he says. I want to spend an evening in a real... he's got you pegged as a drinker, Kev. I want to spend an evening in a real traditional English pub, not a chain. I've heard Kevin speak of those chain types with a bit of disdain in his voice. Yeah, I want to be sure to go to the real deal and have a proper British pub experience. I know it's a long shot, but I want to invite both of you to join us that evening. Oh, wow.
That'd be lush.
Thank you very much. There's that one that you introduced me to, Kev. Something sticky, something or other. What's it called?
No, that was that woman I introduced you to in Bendel.
No, stop it, Kev. We'll be in a lot of trouble this week. It's too laddie. There'll be complaints. It's not like you are on the photo walk, Neil. You're a much nicer boy there. No, that one, that really good, that old pub that has the lift in it, Kev, where you can get the beers.
Oh, yeah, well, that is technically a chain. Waxy's Little Sister, that's
the one, Waxy's Little Sister. It's
not a chain as such, but it's owned by the same people who own Waxy O'Connor's, which is an enormous pub full of young people. But yeah, Waxy's Little Sister, which is right on the corner of Chinatown.
Yeah, it's an interesting pub. It's very small to squeeze in an evening. And but I like it.
If you're in that area, the pubs that I like in that kind of proper central London area, West End, Covent Garden area are...
Lamb and Flag.
I like the Lamb and Flag,
Yeah.
although that's packed. I like the Nag's Head, which is opposite Covent Garden.
That's Covent Garden. That sells... I know about that because that sells McMullen's ales, and that's from my hometown. Pub. Yeah. Hartsman Lager.
There's also, again, in Covent Garden, there's one, I think, if I remember rightly, it's called the Harp, which is quite nice. It's a bit off the beaten track.
Don't know that one.
Yeah, they're kind of there's loads of them. There's one of my favourite pubs. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's let me see if I can find it. It's a Spanish pub,
right.
And it's behind Oxford Street. You wouldn't find it. It's down one of those little lanes that when you come off Tottenham Court Road and you look down the lane and you think, smells of piss. I'm not going down there. It just looks like the back of shops, but it's great. I'm now typing in Spanish pub just off Tottenham Court Road, and actually I don't know if I'll remember the name. There it is. It's called Bradley's Spanish Bar.
Yeah.
And that it's on Hanway Street, which, like I said, it's one of those streets that if you look at it, you wouldn't walk down it, but do walk down it. Bradley's Spanish Bar. You've got the upstairs part is nice, but I've never seen that bit open. But there's a little stairwell just to the side of the door, and if you go down there, it's an underground bunker bar.
What?
It sells proper Spanish beers rather than the made up stuff like Madri and all that kind of thing. Although it probably sells those as well. It's got TVs. It's got tiny little toilet that's halfway back up the stairs. It's a great place.
There's a toilet on the stairs.
It's cheap as well.
Yeah, it needs to be.
Yeah, no, it's lovely.
There was a pub, I had to look it up because I couldn't remember the name of it, but this is a true Fleet Street classic, okay? So I used to hang out in a broadcast bar, and I can't remember the name of that one either, but there's one where everybody from the BBC went to, so it's full of lovies. But if you wanted a different experience altogether, because I knew quite a few people from the newspapers as well, and we used to go to Ye Old Cheshire Cheese, which is Fleet Street. But now Fleet Street, of course, is not the home of newspapers like it used to be. So it wouldn't be the hangout for hacks. But people like Charles Dickens used to hang out in there. I met him once. He'll do well, actually. Writes some nice stuff.
I thought you might have met him. Yeah.
At my age. Right, that's given him some ideas. Craig Stevenson. Yes. If we're around and you're buying, we're there.
Yeah.
Go on, your turn. That was a good question, Craig.
Dan Croft. So we've had questions similar to this in the past, but it's quite a simple, straightforward question. If you could both go back to the very start of your photography career, would you have taken the same path?
Didn't we have that one last time, Kev?
No, it's similar, but from a different person, but a little bit more longer, was the question.
Yeah.
And my answer is simply yes.
Oh, what would you have done?
Would you have taken the same path? Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, would you have taken... Oh, sorry, I thought you meant different path. Okay, yeah. Yes. I think so, actually. I'm not sure I would have changed anything. I did have a studio for a while. I had these grand plans, Kev, of... do you remember, what were they called, that studio that had the white backgrounds? They might still be in operation, so be careful what you say.
There's one.
Venture. Do you remember Venture?
There's only one left, I think, and that's the one in Kensington, I believe. There's only one left.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Venture was a business that had... It was the classic white background business, wasn't it? With people doing crazy things, leaping, running, joyous activities. And I set up a similar kind of thing. And I honestly thought, Kev, I would be hiring photographers. And I had a school business as well that tried to essentially take the Venture type model, but a lot cheaper, into schools. And I thought, there we go. I'll sit and watch reruns of Columbo in my white Y-fronts in the front room all day long. And other people will go out and work. And it never really worked out like that, Kev.
Venture was a very clever idea. The photographers weren't really photographers. They were,
weren't they?
Button up. No, because all the cameras were locked in. So everything was locked down to the settings.
It doesn't mean they weren't photographers. It means that they just became camera operators during those periods.
They were operators.
Yeah.
And the people that run this, it was a franchise system. The people who run the the franchise, the people that made the money, and then in the back, the old studio I used to have in Malmesbury used to be a venture studio. Believe it or not, there was one in Malmesbury.
I remember
And
that was the
huge.
shop, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah, it was huge, and I had 3 big studios with white coves and all that kind of stuff, and then additionally downstairs was the desks that the sales guys used to use, or guys and ladies. They'd cold call, and it was a brutal business. They were there to take your money off.
Well, I can only tell you my experience because I had a venture experience. We went and had the pictures done, Kev, and when we went back for the viewing, the lad that was selling us the pictures, he would go, "Do you like this one?" I'm not sure. I might come back to. Oh no, we don't come back to stuff. You either like it or you don't. It's deleted if we move on. Yeah. I thought, no, you can't delete that. It's a picture of my youngest when he's like. It's 3 years. I can't delete that, Kev. Yeah,
it was. Very successful and good for them. But yeah, it was back in the days, wasn't it?
Yeah, different model altogether now. Now that you buy a lot of digi stuff, it wouldn't have worked quite the same, would it? But I'd forgotten about your original studio. It was massive, wasn't it?
Huge, yeah.
Yeah. And in Malmesbury, it probably only cost you £5.50 a week, didn't it?
Well, no, the reason I moved out of it was because I was paying, I had business rate relief, small business rate relief. Yeah. And it was based on square footage, and that place was big. And then they changed the Wiltshire Council changed the footage allowance. Oh. And the difference was the size of my lavatory. So I went from paying very small, I was paying some business rates there, to paying, they wanted something like 15 grand a year.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, I'm going to just move out. And I moved out, and that place is still empty. Yeah. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, maybe.
Greedy council.
Instead of getting a little bit off me, they're getting nothing off nobody.
Yeah. I had a similar-ish kind of experience, but I think I just escaped that. If I had a regret of getting rid of anything, it would be the tiny... Do you remember my tiny little shop, which was right on the A4?
I never saw it.
Did you never see it? But I had it a little while.
Yeah, no, I never saw it. I've never seen your nice little studio back here.
Yeah. Well, the one I had on the A4 was quite good because I really only used it as a meeting room. There was no studio there. There's no opportunity to, because it was small, it was postage stamp sort of thing. There was room for a desk where 2 people could sit opposite each other with computers, and then there was a small meeting area and enough wall space for just 4 big pictures, and that was it. And I put 2 illuminated pictures in the window, and it just said the wedding photographer. I didn't even put my name on it. I just put the wedding photographer. I used every bit of real estate I had on the shop sign to just put the wedding photographer. And that was really successful because people would go past that shop and think, oh, that's the wedding photographer guy. And they'd and the amount of is it walk-ins or whatever from the street where people would say, do you do weddings? Yeah, funny enough, I do. It was a really successful, I think it cost me about, what was it? I think with electricity, rent and everything all in, I think it was about £750 a month. But if you consider the amount of weddings I was doing, it really paid for itself. And at some stage, I thought, I don't need that anymore. Business is flying. Got rid of it. And of course, I got rid of the main marketing angle that I had. And when the M4 was shut, if there was unfortunately an accident, everybody would come along that A4. It would be gridlocked. It was a brilliant advertising. It was like having a big advertising hoarding on that road going into London, Kev, on the Westway. That was a mistake of mine, but there we go. Is it my turn or yours?
Your turn.
This is from Mark McKay, who lives in Australia. Have you ever been to Australia, Kev? We haven't done that for a long time. Hi, Neil. Hi, Kev. I've just started listening to the podcast as I purchased a Fujifilm camera. Unfortunately, still in the box, but hopefully that will change this week. It's the X100 VI. Ooh. So you've even got me saying VI now, Kev.
Good.
I wanted a smaller camera that I can take everywhere, and I've been listening to the podcast, and the dots aligned. I've been using a Canon DSLR, and still will, The jump to this new camera seems to cross a number of new borders all at once. Brand, mirrorless, that is, size, style, rangefinder, etc., etc. I've watched some setup YouTube videos, mixed feelings on those, but a little helpful. So my question, what advice would you give to someone like me that is about to learn how to use this camera? I figure I have a little experience. My vintage or level is about the same as Neil's, but it's a hobby. Do you know what? Kev isn't that much younger than me. I'd just like to point that out. When you talk about vintage, what would you say, Kev? You've written a book on the X100 once upon a time. I know that wasn't the VI, but it's a good place to start.
I didn't quite get the gist of the question. I'll say
you were playing chess.
Sorry.
Tell me you weren't. Honestly. So for somebody of your vintage, Kev, who can't concentrate on two things at the same time, he's setting his camera up. He wants to learn how to use the camera to the best of his ability. He's been a bit thwarted by a few less than capable videos on YouTube.
I hope that wasn't my one you're talking about.
Yeah, I think he is actually. Yeah, I'm just reading down the lines here. Kev's video, terrible. Yeah. So what advice would you give him in setting up his camera? He's come from the Canon camp, although he's staying there, but he wants to use this X100. Was that a blub?
It was, yes, and it's because I'd made a right mess up of my move on chess. So I blame whoever it was we were asking that question. Their fault.
I'm glad you're with us. Where were we in the answering of the question anyway? Yes. What is he going to do about his
settings? Yeah, yes. I mean, I do have an X100 VI video settings on YouTube. Maybe that's one that you didn't think was particularly good. I don't know.
No, I'm sure it's not. He's missed that one.
Yeah, but it depends. I mean, I set it up. The way I set it up might not be the way he wants to set it up. Yeah, I mean, other than that, you know, configure it. If it's still in the box, you know, open it up, go through the settings. You know, the manual isn't particularly great, which is always a shame, I think. I don't think any camera manufacturers ever that I've ever used, even when I used to use Canon, the manuals were awful.
They're not written by photographers usually.
They're not, no. So yeah, just set it up as you know, as what works for you, really. Yeah. I can only really speak about my video where I talk about, you know, the way that I set it up, back button focusing, and, you know, the way I set up kind of custom settings, that kind of thing. But really, the beauty of a camera like the X100 VI is the simplicity, isn't it? Don't be afraid to just stick it on fully automatic, everything on the Red A, and just go out and shoot and see, and you'll start experimenting with the settings thereafter, no doubt. That's my advice. But the most important thing is unwrap the box, take the camera out, take all of the other gubbins out, pick the box up.
Oh, don't say throw recycling. No, recycle. Thank you, Kev.
Straight in the recycling.
Yes, yeah.
And never forget, you know, never think about the box ever again. And, you know, pick up the camera and use it.
I don't think I've changed many of my settings at all on the X100. There's a few small things I've changed, but it's just I don't see it as that. It's never been a camera I've had to sort of wrangle much in that respect.
I love on the X100, on the XE5, I had it for a few days. It's gone back to Fujifilm now, but there's an option you can, if you press, when you're looking through the viewfinder, if you press the disc back button, you get a retro interface. It's really, really cool. You just get these little red information, like exposure, shutter speed, ISO, that kind of thing. Everything else goes off. Just get this lovely little red, as if you're looking through a very vintagey camera. I love that. Really like that. I'd like to see that come to all of the cameras.
Well, good luck, Mark. Enjoy. Where are you with your with your chess now?
I don't know. I'm playing 31 games at the minute.
Are you? I'm glad to see you're so busy, Kev.
I'm playing somebody from Jamaica called Jam Rock right now. That's the move I'm playing at this minute. It's a draw at the minute. So anyway, I'll leave that alone.
Okay. Right, go on. Your question out of Facebook.
Right then, I need to get my questions back up.
Oh, sorry. Dear, Kev.
You can't call me anything but a professional.
No, obviously not.
Right.
Did you used to play chess at the back of the church when you got banished there by the vicar or the priest?
Well, during COVID, yeah, I was the person that was... Oh, in weddings. Yeah, I see. Yeah, in weddings, yeah. If ever I was sent to the back and told not to take any pictures, I'd just get my phone out and play chess. Yeah, and in COVID when
You're
I was
a man. You're a man of religion as well, Kev.
yeah, but they're not often religious weddings, are they? In churches. I mean, if it was Catholic church and there was communion and stuff, then that's different. But
did you used to go up for communion?
I did in the Catholic weddings when they had it. Yeah.
Would you? So you put your cameras down and then you do a little bit of...
leave the cameras around my neck.
Would you?
I would always speak to the priest first and say, if it was a Catholic wedding, and say, is it a nuptial? Is there going to be communion? And he would say yes or no. Mostly there was not. You get married in the Catholic church and not have communion. And I would say, oh, well, if you don't mind, I'll be coming up for a bit of that, please. And they would always say, yeah, of course. Okay. Right. Paul Cooper says, chaps, excellent and very enjoyable podcast. Watching the recent launch of the XE5 and the 23mm lens, it struck me this is the third Fujifilm 23mm lens in the X-mount space. Yes, they all have slightly different apertures, but I'm curious as to what is the target market for these lenses. Well, I don't know whether he just means the new 23 or all three of them.
Right.
I use the excellent f2 lens along with the fixed 23 on the X100F, and they're great workhorses. Your observations would be appreciated. Well, there you go. Yeah, you're quite right. There's multiple lenses now for lots of the, there's multiple 18mm, there's multiple 56mm. Well, there's kind of updates to the 56.
There's only the two 56s, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, they're updates rather than different focal lengths. You're quite right. But the 18mm, there's different ones. Yeah, I think as I mentioned, I had the XE5 and it came with that little 23mm lens, which I really, really like. And that definitely will be something. I probably won't buy the XE5 because I don't need it. But that little 23mm lens I do like. And I guess the reason why they've made that the new 23mm pancake lens is a lot smaller. I mean, it's similar in size to the lens on the front of the X100 VI or X100F in this case. Yeah. And it's, it goes perfectly hand in hand with the XE5, smaller rangefinder style, little tiny lens. It will go in a coat pocket all together as a system, just like the X100. And that's really what that market is. I'm not 100% sure, but I would suspect the XE5 and that new 23mm lens will come as a kit.
Yeah.
So you can probably get both of them together at a bit of a discount. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure about that. But yeah, I mean, that's the market, isn't it? They're making different lenses to go with different systems effectively. So the 23mm, the big 23mm f1.4 is more suited. It will work, of course, on the XE5, but it is probably more suited to something like the XT5, XT50,
X2
cameras, that kind of thing.
I thought you were going to miss out the XHs. Then I thought.
Well, I was going to say something a bit more derogatory.
Yeah, I knew you were, so I thought I'd get that one in because the world according to Mullins means that nobody should use the XH system.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's it. Again, it's a similar conversation that seems to come up. People, why are they making an XE5 and not an X Pro 4, or why aren't they updating the XT5 to be better before they make the XE5 and stuff? But people have to realize that these decisions are made years and years in advance. A sensor, traditionally, we talked about this last time, I think, traditionally the XE camera is the last of the current sensor. It's the last one that is made. So probably the next camera that gets announced will be using a newer sensor. Probably. Again, I don't know for sure. And so, they go through all of this stuff, making different things. And occasionally they get it wrong. They do get it wrong. If you think about like the XF10 camera, didn't make that again. X70, and never did anything with that again. And, because those things didn't sell at the time, at least. And so that's probably true of some of their lenses as well. But they know that 23mm, a small 23mm for an XE5, and I think the target audience for the XE5 and that 23mm is street photographers. They'll love it. They'll really love it. And it does then also give people choices between, well, do I want an X100 VI, which does have benefits over the XE5, of course, or do I want the opportunity to change lenses in the future, in which case XE5, very similar in size and look and feel to the X100 VI, might be a better choice. And so you've got an option then, haven't you?
Yeah. Sorry, okay. I just on my
You're playing chess.
Yeah, should I go for the Sicilian defence or maybe the French defence? It's the best move, isn't it? Sicilian to start with, isn't it?
Sicilian, yeah.
I'd never heard of these things.
Rui Lopez, that's my favourite.
What's that? Is
Rui
that a move?
Lopez
Is that a
opening.
move?
Rui Lopez opening.
Who is Rui Lopez? Sounds like...
He was a chess player.
Was he? Okay. I don't know, Kev. I don't know. Who is the most celebrated chess player at the moment?
Well, I saw the other day, actually, Magnus Carlsen got married. I'm not sure if she's from Norway. He's from Norway. I'm not sure if she was from Norway, but certainly kind of Scandinavian type lady. And he posted some of his pictures on Instagram. Right. They're fab. They're really nice. And what I really liked were that they were mostly black and white and candid. I have no idea who the photographer was, but they were really, really nice pictures. And he looked very happy, which is good. I would say probably he's the most famous chess player at the moment.
I saw something recently where I think, was it Magnus who was playing a young lad who beat him, and Magnus was quite indignant about the whole thing.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. He thought he was cheating.
Oh, was that what it was?
Yeah, and do you know how he thought he was cheating?
Why?
In the end, they settled out of court, so nobody really knows. But Magnus's claim was that he was using, let's just say something that and he had it, and that was, and then he had kind of people outside of the auditorium who were analysing the game and using that system to tell him whether it was a good move or not. That was not, by the way.
I'm not.
Whether it was true or not was never proved. So
is that out in the public world discourse, whatever they call it?
You can find all.
We're not going to get in trouble for recounting it. I'm not even sure that story should stay in.
No, I mean, I only read it. I only consumed that content from the public information
domain. Yeah, weird.
So, but I think it was ever proven.
His wedding photographs were great, though, Kev.
Wedding photos were great. Magnus, yeah.
Oh dear. This is Barney. This is going to be. I'm just talking to the dog. This is going to be a very strange one to edit this week because we ran the music, which means I just have to keep that last bit in. There'll be complaints this week. There will be. Telling you. Anyway, but you do know about the best pubs to go to and some good photographic galleries when you come to London as well. That was so at least we rescued ourselves there. That's
and
it.
If you ever need to cheat at chess,
Kev, no, that's not what we need to know. Thank God you're going to Spain for a couple of weeks.
You can find some of those chess cheating shops in Soho.
That's it for this week. Enough, Kev. If you'd like to write in, click at fujicast.co.uk or you can go through the Facebook. I will see you soon, Kev. Bye!
The Fujicast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.